Alright, I only have 30 minutes on this camera, so I don't know if I'll have enough time to get through this video, but a response video to conference report. I saw Jay Sounder do a video response to this video. I haven't heard this video yet, but it sounds like it's going to be crap. It's, you know, pessimism light, haha, another joke. It's like goths who buy their clothes from Hot Topic. Yeah, well, you're like imbeciles who buy your clothes at fencewalker.com. Yeah, you're idiots on a fence. Duh, I'm on a fence. You're Humpty Dumpty buying wall shoes. Yeah, fuck you. Oh, fuck these idiots.
I just need to make a very quick video about antinatalism, unfortunately. So if it's a topic that you're tired of, it's not of interest to you, look away now.
Yeah, okay, okay.
But it's really to do with my own, and this is probably just me.
Yeah, whatever.
My own disquiet or my own frustration.
Yeah, whatever.
With YouTube antinatalism.
Yeah,
again.
Whatever.
I've said in a previous video.
Yeah, you know what? I'm frustrated with all you wishy-washy, say-nothing, idiotic philosophers. I'm going to be a philosopher. Know what I'm going to philosophize on? How we don't know anything. Yeah, fuck you. Shut up. If you don't know anything, shut the fuck up.
I would like to be able to say I'm an antinatalist. In fact, I said it on almost exactly this spot in this field. But I couldn't because it was such a shot to pieces idea on YouTube, and I still feel that.
Yeah, well, who cares? I mean, who cares about your little wimpy, whiny bullshit about, well, this, you know, there's certain people in that club, and I can't join a club that has stinky people in it, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, who cares? Who cares about the word antinatalism? Who cares about any of that stuff? Just argue the premises. Just argue that, yeah, nature's a fucking dumb, cunt, silly bastard, okay? I mean, there's no mother nature. There's cunt bastard nature. All right, nature sucks. It has no standards. It rewards nothing. Okay, but moronic, big teeth. You know, big club, big fist, big smell, big stink, big gun, big shoot, big stab, big whatever. It's just big nothing. Nothing beautiful gets rewarded by nature. Nothing beautiful in any logical sense. Of course, it glorifies things that we consider beautiful, but that's a whole different subject.
So I don't think I conveyed exactly what my problem was, apart from the ones that I specified. And it's not so much that I think the world is a nice place, and I think lots of babies should be born into it to experience how nice the place is, or that antinatalists are deluded, or any of those kinds of things, actually.
Yeah, no, actually it's just some sort of ambiguous, mishy-mushy, wishy-washy crap. Yeah, that's what it is.
You know, I'm a fairly optimistic guy, and I'm a fairly happy guy as a rule, but not always, like any of us are, you know. And I'm not blind to the difficulties of life. And quite a lot of the videos that I've made on YouTube have been, broadly speaking, pessimistic in nature. Not hundreds, but dozens for sure. Pessimistic in nature. Trying to come to terms on a personal level and a philosophical level with what I see as the difficulties of being alive and awake in a world such as ours.
Yeah, the difficulties, exactly, but there's still, the bottom line is there are no difficulties if we just quit trying to play a game that can't be played. I mean, if we just simply say, yes, it's crude forces, okay, this game is only really playable by the ignorant and the stupid. The more you are aware of the consequences of everything you touch and do, and the realization that you can't really have your baseball cap, you can't have your eyeglasses, you can't have your comfortable life, you can't have a motherfucking thing without exploiting the fuck out of somebody else, alright, that there is nothing without some sort of exploitation and usury and bullshit here, alright? It is basically about stealing sunlight, okay, from other things, and so you can copy a DNA molecule. That's what's going on here, and it sucks. There, that's not that hard to say, is it? No, I don't think it is.
And it's a complex history. It isn't simple and isn't obvious, and whenever I hear words like simple and obvious being applied to this life, it's, my heart sinks a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, it's simple and obvious, okay? The biology's obvious, the chemistry's obvious, the physics is obvious. I mean, not the detail, but the broad picture of what's taking place here. There's 100 elements. The 100 elements can combine into compounds. Some of these compounds have very bizarre and eccentric properties. Some makes little clear diamonds. Some of them grow crystal stalagmites and stalagmites, tights, whatever, tights. Anyway, Yeah, there's all kinds of chemistry that can take place, and one of the chemistries that takes place is a replicating molecule, and we've seen what it's done over 4 billion years, and it's all just creating little battle bots. Okay, that's all it is. It's robot wars. We're just robots that happen to be conscious, that happen to be able to have this add-on that ends up creating this sentience thing, this feeling thing, but it's all supposed to be a mechanism that creates behavior in the environment. Obviously, nature gets completely broken in terms of the way it's structured as soon as this intelligence gets smarter than the mechanisms being used to seduce it into behavior. So then we can figure out how to put condoms on. We can break the whole system of natural selection, and that's what we have done. But we're still stuck in this dilemma. It's still tic-tac-toe stupid game. You want to keep saying it's some other kind of game than a stupid game? No, it's a dirt, simple, crude, stupid game. Natural selection is not complicated.
Because it isn't, I've talked about these things. I've talked about the history of it. I've talked about the philosophical history of it. I've talked about the political implications of it. I talked about it from a personal perspective. One of my very earliest
Yeah, well, and what have you said? You haven't said anything. You say nothing. You just talk. You talk and you talk and you talk and you keep creating snakes that are eating their ass, but you're not saying anything.
Conversations with Mendham on here, actually. Probably 2.5 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah, well, I directly kind of tried to push you on this a little bit and get some kind of fucking answer out of you. I said, what if I'm your goddamn son? I say, what the fuck were you thinking, you dumb fucking cunt? What would your response be? And your response was basically, well, too tough shit, fella.
To do with, it was called something like Original Sin. And I was kicking around ideas within Mendham at that time about this relationship, what this original sin might mean. It's a biblical concept, Christian concept. Of course, nobody takes any notice of that, do they? Original idea that the sins of our fathers, originally the sins of Adam and Eve, have so offended the Lord that future generations, all the sons will be cursed because of those sins of the father. And of course that's a silly idea, isn't it? But I like that idea as resonant for some aspects of being alive and awake.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that part of it. I don't remember liking the idea and residence and all this other crap. We talked a little bit about how these are metaphors and how, some of this has some sort of meaning, relevance it can have as poetry, but taking it any further than that, I don't think it means a hell of a lot. Life is broken at its very core. The game is broken. It has no umpires. That's a problem. You have a game where you don't have umpires, you're going to have fucking problems.
The sins of our biological history, if you like, is part of why we're here, isn't it? I'm here because my ancestors were the most successful predators. They were the most successful rapists and gang leaders and villains. Well, yeah, also, of course, cooperators and all those kind of things. True. But,
well, gang leader implies cooperation already, right? So the warlord, all those things are all gangs. That's all cooperation, and it's all for negative purposes because it just becomes, the gang becomes another entity that has a self-interest, like a school of fish or something. The individual fish have incentive, the school has incentive because they all have a genetic identity.
We have a little bit of a dark history. At other times I've compared modern life to the beautiful sounds of the drums that were made out of the human skin that was peeled off the Jews in various concentration camps.
Well, if that's even fucking, what is that bullshit? Why even bring that kind of crap up? Okay, there's no real evidence in any of that shit.
That story is true. But assuming it is true, it's no matter how beautiful the music, you have to think about the materials in which it's been made. And that's something that's haunted me a lot. And not just me, it's not a personal thing. This isn't just something that I've invented, or that Mendham's invented, or anybody on YouTube invented. These are things that got a long and very, very rich, somber, dark.
No, it doesn't have a rich history. It got completely annihilated by Christianity, okay? So, yeah, the Greeks did a lot of thinking. They were very thoughtful for their time, amazingly intelligent in trying to dissect what their life was, and their even understanding psychology and addiction and the way they're caught up in something and blah, 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 and human psychology. Really brilliant shit. And then the Christians came along and they annihilated everybody who had a thought. Anybody who could think, the Christians and the Muslims killed them. All right? And that's the way it's been for the last 1,500 years, or whatever number you want to put on it. Okay? The human race has been silent. Okay? You couldn't fucking say a goddamn thing if it didn't say something praising God instead of damning God. And that's the truth. There was no conversation. So it wasn't until a couple hundred years ago that you dare even talk about this stuff. Darwin had to be feared for his fucking life because he dared to speculate about what the truth was of biology. And we've seen what happened in the last 100 years over this subject. We've seen people thrown in jail, and we've seen the persecution because of these religious fucking nuts. And so, yeah, now we can finally have the conversation again because we finally shoved a sock in the mouth of these religious nut fuckers. All right? And so now we're having the conversation that was started 2,000 years ago. But the conversation hasn't evolved since 2,000 years ago. It hasn't really been pushed. All right? And so don't tell me that it's all been said or that it's all been done or that the conversation is over. No, the conversation is just fucking starting.
The ancient Greeks talked about it, the ancient Romans talked about it, the Babylonians talked about it, the Egyptians talked about it. Every culture...
Yeah, every dead culture. Right, these are all cultures that were annihilated by fucking Christians.
Has faced the kind of existential dread of the world and recognised that it is, at least in part, red in tooth and claw, at least in part completely purposeless, at least in part completely meaningless, and has found, if not ways to deal with that, at least ways to not go insane.
Yeah, right, not go insane. I mean, you know, they haven't figured out a way to do anything with it. They've just created silly priesthoods that do silly rituals and say, now I've admonished the problem of our life struggle thing because I did some sort of mental hypnosis to some self-hypnosis, and now everything's okay, so go ahead and have 10 kids. They don't solve any of this problem. They don't react to it with any kind of solutions. And in their own defense, they didn't have a solution. Okay? Buddha didn't have condoms to hand out to people.
From that possibility. And that not going insane as a kind of tradition, and it has a set of responses. And of course things have come about as a result of that. Whole schools of philosophy have come about as a result of that. Whole political movements have come about as a result of those realizations.
I'd like to see what political movements. I didn't, you know, please.
Causes and cults and religions themselves, death cults have arisen as a part of that. All kinds of things have risen as responses to that. And that's a really, really, really rich history.
Yeah, whatever. I say that's a crock of shit, all right? So that's just easy words. Give me a list of these cults that were created on the premise that life is futile and stupid. All right, not cults that were created on the premise that a God created life or that there's a heaven they're going to go to because they know the magic code and so now it's time for to go to heaven, so that's why they stopped reproducing. No, give me the name of the cults that were founded on the premise that life is just dumb fucking stupid. Okay, and that somehow it was productive for them to self-annihilate themselves and somehow that's going to fix tomorrow's problem. Show me that. Show me that philosophy somewhere. Show me a philosophy that's doing a goddamn thing to fix the future. Show me one that's focused on the future. Beyond antinatalism, aggressive antinatalism, hard antinatalism is looking at the future. It's looking for a solution.
Which in some ways sustains me personally when I'm feeling pessimistic. And even in recent history, I'm personally very fond of mid-20th century.
Well, I guess you're just one of those misery love company kind of guys, okay? For me, no, I don't like misery. I don't like my misery. I don't like seeing anybody else miserable. I think misery fucking sucks. I don't want company. I don't want to know anybody's ever had a nasty thought in their life. I don't give a fuck. I mean, all there is here is an argument, okay? I don't care who said it in the past. I don't care how famous they were or how infamous they were. I don't care if Adolf Hitler said, I think birthing babies is bullshit. I don't care. I just don't give a rat's ass. I care that people make an argument explaining this is the dilemma of being a human being in the 20th century, 21st century. This is our dilemma, okay? That we are eccentric psychologies, that we are fundamentally insatiable, and we will fucking kill ourselves because of that behavior, because we're selfish jackasses.
Absurdists, the existential writers of the mid-20th century. You know, Samuel Beckett's plays, I think, capture really, really well a large part of the human condition.
Yeah, well, whatever. I think Dickens does it better than anybody ever will. Okay, so yeah, that would be my definition of the guy to go to. You want to learn about reality and the substance of life? Yeah, Dickens. Dickens says it all. Okay, ignorance and want. That's the problem with the human animal.
The side of the road for a tomorrow that never comes, a God that never shows up, a woman buried up to her neck in such a waist in sand, just kind of having a happy day. People in waste bins playing some pointless end game, you know. I love all that.
Yeah, well, whatever. You love it, I don't. I don't have any use for it whatsoever. This whole stoic misery shit is just that. It is shit.
Love it. Not because it distracts me, not because it deludes me into thinking the world is a better place, but because it speaks to my soul, if I can use that word. I don't mean it in any kind of religious way, of course. But it speaks to the kind of inchoate understanding that I walk around this world with. So I recognise all that.
Yeah, well, that's why fundamentally we have a problem, because that's right. I don't see any purpose in it at all. I don't see any purpose in doing anything but fighting against the shit. If there's shit, fight it. If there's something to swat, swat it. Fight it, kill it, smash it. Do something about it. Just don't sit there and take it. Okay? Fuck it. You know? Fight.
I know that history of difficult pessimistic thought. So when I come across YouTube antinatalism, for the most part, not all cases, and how trite and trivial a lot of it is.
Oh, look who's talking. Look who fucking is goddamn talking. Pessimism light. Right? Light rhymes with even trite. Silly person. You silly fence-walking whatever. Fanny packer. You know? You're a fucking cliche of trite and trivial. Your poetry and your bullshit. Your fucking dead philosopher books. Yeah, that's trivial and trite. Look in the mirror, trivial and trite man. You're a trivial man. You got your trivial hat and your trivial cliche dogs and your trivial goddamn mannerisms, and you're just as trite and trivial as they can come.
And how badly put together it is, and how self-congratulatory it is, and how stupidly propagandist it is, as if it's the first time these ideas have ever been thought of.
Oh, propagandist. Back that up, you fucking cunt. Back it up. How is it exaggerating? How is it in any way... quote it. Quote the fucking exaggeration. Quote the misstatement. Quote the lie, you fucking cunt. God, you're such a weasel. You weak weasel.
As if it hasn't been absolutely built into the fabric of the human condition since day one.
Oh, bullshit. Exactly, since day one. What do you think day one was? You really think there was an Adam and Eve, fuckhead? Alright, day one was a goddamn fucking cell that replicated shit for brains. Alright, we're goddamn mammals. What was day one? Tell me when day one was, please. Explain to me. Was it 1 million years ago? 10 million years ago? 500,000? When? When was day one, shit for brains? Tell me. Come on, when was day one, fucker? Where the human beings realized what they were caught up in and they talked about it and explained it to each other. Hey, we're just being gamed by a DNA molecule. Explain to me where that day one was. Where was day one when a human being said, we're being gamed by a DNA molecule? Where was the first time a fucking human being said that, you stupid cunt? Tell me that day one, because I don't think that day one wasn't until about, 150 years ago. Shit for brains.
You know, since the first people came alive and awake, it isn't that we've just realised that things are difficult. We've always realised things are difficult.
No, it's not about things being difficult. It's about the fucking thing itself. Life itself being insipidly stupid. It's gladiator war for a fake victory. The winner dies, the loser dies. It's a fucking waste of time.
And the history of philosophy, the history of art, is at least partly to do with that. Damien Hirst's Crystal Skull.
Oh, whatever. Fuck that shit. Fuck your art crap. Okay, your subjective, clingy, I'm horny for another piece of chocolate cake. Why don't you just say that? Why don't you just say, I would like another piece of chocolate cake, please?
For the love of God, have a look at that. That's absolutely got human vanity built into it. The impossibility of death in the mind of someone living, a shark in formaldehyde. So when I see this trite versions of it, when I see the human condition summed up in a syllogism.
A syllogism. So use a stupid word, right? Why don't you just say it? Oh, you mean an accurate description of origins and function. Oh, when I see somebody describe origins and function, yeah, that's a real turnoff because I'd like to play around in poetry and art and bullshit.
Suffering is bad, living things suffer, therefore stop having living things. As if that, as if 5,000 years of human civilization, thousands of years of human thought, millions of human words written on parchment and vellum and paper and on computer screens, as if that hasn't said something slightly more intelligent than a 3-line gag you could have got at a Christmas cracker.
Oh, yeah, right. And all that shit somehow explains anything. All that shit has done what? It's rubbed your dick. It's shoved a dildo up your ass. That's all it's done. Okay? Those are human comforts, and that just makes us exactly what we are, scum. Okay? Those are the lies we use to comfort ourselves. All those fucking words have been wasted. Alright, because none of them have been devoted to doing the thing that needs to be done, which is describing the fucking truth.
Christmas crackers for bad philosophers.
Yeah, well, words you can't do motherfucking shit about. That's right, crackers. Consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. 4 words you can do nothing with. Okay, you can't add a 5th word. You can't explain how those 4 words don't accurately sum the game up. Okay, so fuck you. You can't even deal with crackers, and yet you think you're going to bake something else? What are you going to bake? When are you going to get around to telling us who your God is? What's your God's secret code name?
So that's why I'm disappointed and infuriated.
Yeah, and I'm revolted. I find you fucking revolting.
And pissed off with YouTube antinatalism. Not because it contradicts my deeply held thoughts and because I want the world to be a happy place. Because I want pessimism done right.
Oh yeah, right. Whiny and wimpy and poetic. Yeah, just waste your time reading sad songs. How can you even do this? It's like goths who buy clothes at Hot Topic. You're the fucking goth. You want to just waste time doing moany laments. Oh, to be or not to be, that is the question, but we won't fucking bother answering it because that would be serious business and we won't want a serious business. We don't want to do something serious or real. We just want to talk about it forever. Let's talk about it forever. Let's say boo-hoo up each other's ass. That'll be fun. I'll say boo-hoo up your ass and then you can say, isn't it awful? Up my ass. Isn't it awful? Yeah. We'll just talk shit up each other's asses forever and not do a fucking thing.
I want the darker philosophies done correctly. I want history given its due. I want...
What history, exactly? What fucking history? What? Yes, yeah, that's right, exactly.
All the thought and the art and the expression that people have put into this, taken into account. I don't want my pessimism trivialized.
Oh, whatever. Okay, no one's taken anything away from the great laments about the tragedy of war. Nobody's taken Mark Twain's statements away. An anti-nihilist, by the way. Well, at least a Benatarian in the sense that he'd rather not have been. No one's taken away people's capacity to describe and emote and stoicize, the tragic figures. To sit there and do your whatever it is, your Joan of Arc tributes. I know how to tribute her. I know how to appreciate her pain. okay, because I'll have a thought about it. I won't change the human identity. I won't argue for the things she stood for. I won't really do any honor to her tragic death at all. What I'll basically do is just memorialize her stoic presence. Yeah, well, fuck that shit. You're like statues on graves. You're just fucking empty, cold stone waste of goddamn time.
I want it to be, robed in purple curtains and put on a fucking sepulchre. That's where it belongs, the one that history's built for it. And not reduced to a paper hat philosophy, which is pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah, right. And you can't challenge it with a goddamn thing, so you're triple zipple fucking pathetic. You can't even undo consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. You can't undo the simple logic of a need that doesn't need to exist. You can't touch Benatar's asymmetry argument. You're just fucking as lame as goddamn hell. And to call somebody else pathetic makes you pathetic with like 2 P's at least.
It's letting the side down.
Oh yeah, right. It's not clean enough. It's not. We have to do this right. Let's all put our hands on our hips and try to do this with style. Yeah, it's not stylish enough. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, enough.
Yeah, enough is right. Fuck you. Fence walking, useless sacks of shit.